Western Ukraine, Sub-Carpathian region, town hall, 100 metering, the only Pisanka Museum in the world, a unique Yew reserve, horseback riding, delicious chorba on an open fire, and real Viennese strudel. And all this in a Hutsul town on the banks of the River Prut in Kolomiya. And our guide today is Roman Debluk, an expert on local historical sites and places of interest.
Доброго дня, звати мене Роман. Я буду сьогодні.
Hello, my name is Roman. I will be your guide today and want to show you our town. Kolomiya is one of the best towns in the Sub-Carpathian region, on the territory of Pokutia. Kolomiya is an ancient town, and it's rich in traditions, culture, architecture. We have fascinating cuisine we inherited from previous generations. As I already said, the town is ancient, and the first mention of it in the Galician Volyn Chronicle dates back to 1242. The town of Kolo, Circle, as the locals sometimes call it. Although no one knows exactly where the name came from, they're sure that the first part of the word is most likely connected with the word circle. There are so many assumptions as to why Kolomiya is called the way it is, and not otherwise. One of the most common versions is that on one occasion, when entering our town, it was necessary to wash the wheels of the carts on which they traveled, hence the name Kolomiya, wash the wheels. So how does this town differ from others? What can locals offer tourists? Our guide will answer all these questions. Now we're on the central square of our town. This is Ploshcha Vidrodzhenia. Behind us there is one such building, the most recognizable, Town Hall. It is an architectural monument. You can also see the coat of arms of Kolomiya. It's an eagle that has raised its wings and is ready to fly. Such emblem Kolomiya received in 1395. And in 1405 the town received the Magdeburg rights, which enabled it to have its own market. And there was a market square here where a large number of people gathered. Someone wanted to sell something, someone wanted to buy. Most people gathered on the square on Saturday. Well, now we can climb up the town hall and get a bird's-eye view of the town. The most popular building in any European town since ancient times has been the town hall. This building is one of the few buildings in Galicia which still performs administrative functions. It houses the Kolomiya Town Council and the Executive Committee. You can see 3 clock dials on the town hall building. There is also a balcony that surrounds the tower. It had a practical function in ancient times. It was convenient to inspect the town from this balcony and, in the event of fire, to warn townfolk about imminent danger. And this is Chernovil Avenue, the central pedestrian street in Kolomiya. Just like in Ivano-Frankivsk, people call the main street in Kolomiya the 100 meters. It is here that many buildings were constructed at the end of the 19th, start of the 20th century. And if you are tired of walking around town, then for lovers of peace and wildlife, there is a picturesque suburb that will pleasantly surprise you. You can have a great holiday not only on the territory of Kolomiya, but also beyond it, in a picturesque suburb. We now find ourselves on the territory of the Kняжий Двір nature reserve of the Kolomiya forestry enterprise. You can see and learn a lot of interesting things here. And now I'd like to invite you for a horse ride around the reserve. The beauty of the forest here is amazing, but not everyone knows that a unique tree grows here, an endangered species, the common yew, which makes this place special. This is why this reserve has great scientific, historical and aesthetic value. The reserve is located on quite a steep slope. The landscape here is very picturesque, with mountain springs and unusual vegetation. This is the largest site where the common yew grows in Ukraine, and one of the largest such sites in Europe. From the silence and coolness of the forest we return to the noisy town, because there are lots of interesting things here. We're in a small square at the moment. Behind me is the modern-day visiting card of our town, the Pisanka Easter Egg Museum. The building entered the Guinness Book of Records and the Book of Records of Ukraine. The museum has over 14,000 exhibits, most of which can be seen in exhibition halls. The building itself was constructed very quickly. It was erected for the opening of the 10th International Folklore and Ethnographic Festival Kolomiya 2000. And now I invite you to visit the Pisanka Museum with me. The unique and only Pisanka Museum in the world. It is housed in a colorful building and has the form of a large Easter egg, which was designed by architect Ihor Schumann. This building joined the top 10 architectural wonders of Ukraine in 2007. It now houses the world's largest collection of painted Easter eggs. Can you imagine? We have all this in a small western Ukrainian town.
Щороку наш музей відвідує близько 100 тисяч.
Our unique museum has become a real trademark for both the town and region. The museum is visited every year by about 100,000 tourists, both from Ukraine and from more than 60 countries. The museum's collection includes over 12,000 unique works, different types of Easter eggs created on chicken, goose, and ostrich eggs, and even on quail shells. The museum's collection contains decorative eggs adorned with embroidery, applique seeds from various cereals, straws, wooden, inlaid and carved, ceramic Easter eggs and decorative eggs made out of semi-precious stones, decorated using the cloisonné animal technique with gold and silver. The foundation of the collection is made up of pysankas of Hutsulshina, Pakutya and Bukovina. Most of them were collected during expeditions. These pysankas surprise and amaze the imagination with their variety of ancient symbolic elements and compositions, filigree work and variety of colors. And now we have a unique opportunity to see the jewelry work of museum workers. Wild jewelry. Now see for yourself, because not everyone can properly break an egg and then glue it back together. A pisanka must be carefully prepared for it to become a museum exhibit. This is a unique method of preserving raw eggs, invented in 1973 by the chief guard of the founds of the Hutsul Museum, Lubomir Krechkovsky, and fund assistant Maria Bolidzuk. It was the conservation method that played an important role in preserving pisanka art. Well, while they're preparing everything that's necessary for preserving Easter eggs, we can take a look at the yew tree growing in the botanical reserve. Now we're in a unique place in this yew reserve. Imagine this is a small tree which is just 2 years old. In order to reach adulthood, it needs to live 200 to 300 to 400 years. This tree, a not very big one, is now a little over 150 years old. The yew grows very slowly and it has a very dense crown. It drowns in water. A while back it was used for the construction of ship decks, but in no case ships, because they would have sunk because of the huge weight. The wood of this tree is very high quality, strong and solid. The yew is a poisonous plant. Wood, bark, needles, and the root contains a very dangerous toxin. But if you're careful, it will not harm you. Well, we're returning to the Pisanka Museum and will continue to find out how the small pisanka is helped to survive for many years. Look how skillfully Mrs. Roxolana works. The essence of the discovered method of preservation is that the painted pisanka is carefully broken by lightly tapping the very convex part of the egg with the blunt side of a scalpel. Then they take out the inside, dry the halves for 2 to 3 days, and then they glue the inner walls with shreds of fibrous newsprint using PVA glue. Then the halves are glued into the ornament. Once the pisanka has dried, it will not break. This invention made it possible to extend the life of fragile exhibits. The Ukrainian pysanka, or painted Easter egg, is a kind of amulet, cryptography, whose every symbol has a certain meaning and magical power. The painted egg has for many centuries symbolized the victory of light over darkness, good over evil, and the tradition of painting is passed down continuously from generation to generation. That's why the thousands of exhibits that are stored in this unique museum are worth seeing. Well, now we have the chance to visit an unusual museum. Why unusual? Because it's located in the forest. The reserve has many recreation areas, and you definitely need to visit the Museum of Nature. Let's take a walk there. The Museum of Nature has been located in a small wooden house for many years now. There is an interesting collection of rare insects, minerals, and wood samples here. But the visitors are interested most of all in the stuffed animals and birds that live in the Carpathian forests. We're in the Museum of Nature. Our museum houses stuffed copies of so many animals that live in our forests. So I think that it will be interesting for everyone to come to our museum in order to see this collection. After a tour of the museum, we can stroll through the forest. If you do not get off the specially set out route, then you will not get lost. Visitors are happy to stroll along the forest paths in the reserve, some on foot, some on horseback, or, like young fans of outdoor recreation, on bicycles.
Super! Классно!
Cool, it's great to ride a bike. Come and try it yourself. There was a time when these picturesque forests belonged to the kings and princes of Austria-Hungary and Poland. These were places of rest and hunting for loyal nobility, hence the name Kняжий Двір, Prince's Yard. We've already told you that the reserve has a unique landscape, thanks to which spring with special water appeared here, and this water does not freeze at sub-zero temperatures. The reserve has several springs with cool water. Come and taste it. When you take a walk and get hungry, then you do not need to go to the city to a restaurant. Here there are recreational areas where you can relax and cook something delicious on an open fire. Today we'll learn how to make chorba using Mykola Tkachuk's special recipe. He is a forester of the Pysanka forestry.
Шурпа готується тільки на кострі.
Chorba is cooked only on an open fire. In terms of meat, it's just lamb. Then we add our porcini mushrooms, potatoes, carrots, and lots of herbs and spices. All this needs to be cooked on an open fire, as our ancestors once did. We invite you to try our chorba. Thank you, Mykola. It was all very tasty. We've shown you various kinds of recreation that you can find here in Kolomiya, but believe me, it's worth coming to see us just for the sake of this chorba, so we're waiting for you. In our next program, we'll try some delicious Viennese strudel, visit the largest place of worship in Kolomiya, find out on which house the seated Statue of Liberty is located, and learn about the Chinese dream of seeing in our town. Trust me, Kolomiya knows how to surprise. Travel around Ukraine, discover new cities and discuss them with the whole world. Let every journey be a bright and unforgettable one.